Hello everybody and every pony, welcome back. Honey Gamer Pony here, and we are back to reading the story Flicker, read by Forrest McGilvray and created by Xeno Pony. I just want to give another shout out and thank you all so much for getting me to 203 subscriptions. That really means a lot to me. Thank you. God bless you. And we're going to try to make these videos a little bit longer because, you know, we don't want to take forever trying to, you know, go through all of these, you know what I mean? So, I mean, and not only that, I'm using my phone, so I deleted a lot of space off my phone. So, that way, I should have a little bit more time. But, other than that, though, let's see how this works. We're going to try to go maybe like 45 minutes, like pretty much is the same length as these other videos. We're going to see how that works. It might take a little bit longer to upload, but we're going to see how that works. So if this video gets cut or something goes wrong with it, I do apologize. We'll just do another one. But for now, we start at 8:35. Let's continue into the story. And oh my gosh.
Within moments, she was ready to take off after Pinkie, alone.
Moments.
Then, Twilight finally spoke.
Why isn't this
No,
charging?
we all stick together, and we find Pinkie Pie, before this gets any worse. What? It's not bad enough already? Didn't you hear her? Rainbow asked in frustration, yet the remark only earned her a wide range of disapproving, afraid looks. Rainbow, you lead the way. Starlight, Rarity, and I will light it. Applejack, you make sure we don't miss anything behind us. Twilight instructed, the situation molding her into the leader as she levitated Spike onto her back. You don't leave my sight, okay? She told the baby dragon firmly. Don't worry, Twilight. I'm staying right here. He responded timidly, clinging close to her mane. Immediately, her instructions were put into effect as Rainbow darted out of the room and every pony began to follow. Rarity nodded as the alicorn approached, her own blue magic sparkling to life. The moment the alabaster mare trotted away from Fluttershy, Twilight wrapped a hoof around the Pegasus. Nevertheless, the best the sobbing mare could do was repeat how sorry she was. Don't worry, Fluttershy. It's not your fault. We'll get her back, I promise, Twilight told her sincerely, all the while staving off the idea that those words may not be entirely true. That's right. You don't worry yourself about it, Sugar Cube. You couldn't have known that would happen, Applejack added, as she helped Fluttershy to her hooves. That still doesn't mean it didn't. Fluttershy whimpered under her breath, causing both Twilight and Applejack to wince. Hey, are you guys coming or what?
I gotta give credit, though, to Fluttershy, because she cares. She cares a lot. So I can't blame her for bringing it. So, for all you Fluttershy fans, I do apologize. It's not that I hate Fluttershy or anything. I really don't. I like Fluttershy. She's so kind, so gentle-hearted. But yeah, she wouldn't have known that would have happened. I don't like it when people blame themselves for something like, you know, so traumatizing. It's sad. Just, if you ever go through that, hang in there.
Rainbow called back from the door. By Celestia, I swear if she shouts once more, she's going to give me a heart attack, Rarity grumbled, pressing a hoof to her chest. Twilight and Applejack offered the white mare a sympathetic look before they moved out of the room after Rainbow. Rarity wasn't far behind, leaving only Starlight to glance at the now almost stone-like mass that had only moments ago attacked their friend. Her mind flashed to what she'd seen in the captain's cabin, and she gulped. She really hoped she'd been right, and it was merely the forest that had ensnared those bones. Pinkie Pie? Hey, Pinkie! Where the hey are you? Rainbow Dash called out into the dark, expansive maze of ruined halls and corridors as every pony trotted by beneath her. Nothing but the distant roar of the storm outside responded as it echoed through the long emptiness like the call of some great beast. Shadows filled every corner, and gloom loomed everywhere beyond the reach of the magic light. The darkness swarmed around them, as if it were hungrily awaiting its chance to strike. What had once been unsettling was now nothing short of terrifying, and it didn't seem that any pony was afraid to admit it. Something awful had happened to one of them, that much was clear. Something that no pony understood. They'd still been wandering the ruins for what felt like hours, and there was still no sign of Pinkie Pie.
When's the
Despite
main feature?
their previous visits, none of them truly knew how large the castle's interior was, and only now did they all seem to reconsider just how expansive the vast maze of tunnels and halls actually were. Standing on either side of the walkway were faded paintings, each one of them a ghostly
That's a lot of scurry. That's a lot of heart hurting. It's so scurry. I'm telling you. You would not catch me dead inside a castle on a stormy night looking for remnants. I'm sorry, I know I care about Pinkie a lot. I really do. And that, like I said, it hits me here that she's dead. But why? Why searched? I tried to maybe barricade the castle. I'd probably either set it on fire or something. Don't go looking for it. It'll trap you. It'll trap you either worse. I mean, if I were to make a personal decision, I'd probably just seal the castle off. Go get professional, Princess Celestia or somebody, hire. I don't know. But that...
Portrait of a pony who seemed to watch their every step with one looming eye. In the magical light, that illusion only seemed more prominent. Every pony just hoped it was their minds playing tricks on them. Occasionally, the darkness was torn apart by a bright flash as lightning shone in through the rain-strewn windows, followed swiftly by the angry boom of thunder. "Pinkie Pie! Come on, Pinkie! Where are you?" Rainbow continued to call, but this time, her shouting did not go unanswered. There was
she's trying to call for Pinkie. That motherfucking thing turned Pinkie into an omelet. For real.
Drifting ahead, and in the ghostly light, one of the wall tapestries fluttered. There was another bright flash of lightning, and in the wake of the brief image, it offered every pony left wondering whether the sticky-looking black figure they glimpsed at was real or just another trick of the mind. It almost seemed to look up at them with a weeping expression of black tar. But before any pony could even consider the stark image, however, it was consumed by the shadows. "Pinkie!" Rainbow shouted quickly before moving to dart ahead. She was abruptly pulled to a halt by Applejack as the farm pony grabbed her tail and yanked her to the floor. Whatever was ahead gave them another weak shuffle, then fell utterly silent as Rainbow turned towards Applejack with a glare. "Hey, what gives, AJ?" she asked bluntly. Spitting Rainbow's tail from her mouth, Applejack responded with a firm tone. "No ponies going running off. Not alone." Rainbow crossed her forehooves with a huff as her brow furrowed. Meanwhile, every pony else seemed to be agreeing with Applejack. "Fine, but I'm only staying because you guys are too chicken to go by yourself."
Well, that was harsh. You know what they say? Stay together, last forever.
Rainbow Dash stated as she trotted forwards, every pony else close behind her. "You know, you can admit y'all scared. I ain't gonna hold it against you this time, Sugar Cube." Applejack offered, but Rainbow shook her head. "I'm not saying I'm not scared, but I'm scared for my friend, not myself." Rainbow conceded, giving the farm pony another stern glare.
But
"You're not the only one, Rainbow. I can promise that,"
think she gone.
Twilight assured her, but once again, the words did little to soften the terrified determination in Rainbow's eyes. "Quiet, please. The sooner we find Pinkie Pie and get out of this dreadful place, the—" Rarity interrupted, yet her timid words were cut off by a shocked yelp. Every pony turned to the white unicorn in an instant, horns and hooves ready for anything that may leap out from the darkness, only to see Rarity frantically shaking off one of her boots. But as the shimmering purple attire hit the floor, no pony relaxed. Covering its bottom was a splash of squirming black slime that writhed as it tried to gnaw its way through the purple rubber. Rarity backpedaled from the boot in alarm as the black slime swiftly began to wither. "What in Equestria is that darn stuff?" Applejack shouted, the light smell of burning rubber filling the air as the slime sizzled before finally dying. "I have no idea, but every pony watch your step," Twilight responded, panning her horns light outwards to reveal a trail of vague black hoofprints upon the aged carpet. "Pinkie!" called Rainbow again as she peered off to where the prince vanished into the gloom. "Rainbow Dash, that is it! I've had enough of your—" Rarity cried in panic, only for her words to wander off once again as a distant sound echoed up from the darkness. "Shush, all of you! Don't you hear that?" Applejack asked, motioning for quiet with a raised hoof. Every pony's ears stood tall as their eyes scoured the shadows. Then that sound drifted forward again, the sound of a weary moan. It sounded strained and wet, as if forced from a sore throat, clogged by a cold or a flu. Most unsettling of all, however, was the fact that it sounded very close. Both Twilight and Applejack were the first to creep forwards before they were swiftly joined by Rainbow as the Pegasus encouraged Fluttershy into the air and away from the ravenous trail of black slime. The trail went on for a few more meters down the corridor, each step seeming to become more sluggish until whatever had made them looked to be desperately dragging itself along the floor. With each passing step, the stuff seemed more fresh and alive.
You know, I had to come to a guess why Pinkie probably ran out of room. I think in Pinkie's mind, while she was still getting ravaged by this creature, she was trying to get away from them, is my guess. Even though she didn't know where she was gonna go, she ran and ran and ran, and she's desperately just trying to get away. She doesn't want to be around them. She knows something, whatever was I don't know what it was doing. I still don't even know to this day what it's doing to them. I don't. But it sounds horrible in that perspective. But I bet Pinkie was just trying to get away. And whatever that thing is, may God and Celestia have mercy on its soul for doing such horrible things. Because that sucks.
As if it could not survive on its own for more than a few minutes. Then there was another garbled moan, and every pony paused as something shifted in the gloom. This time, the movement was sluggish and rough, the breath rasping and watery. Just ahead, the prince took a sharp turn into a small side arc, and slowly every pony crept up to it. Who, or what, was inside gave another weary moan that was swiftly followed by a pained shriek. An acrid smell filled the air, and those that didn't gag at the stench perked their ears as a sound akin to many wet rags being torn in two bubbled up from within the room. Then there was a horrific, reverberating cry of pain that was abruptly silenced by a sickening, loud splash. Then a soft thud as something wet hit the floor. This time, there was no stopping Rainbow from rushing into the room, and both Twilight and Applejack rapidly followed her. Nor did the others think twice about it, if only to avoid being left alone in the darkness. Starlight and Rarity came in behind the others, only for their hearts to stop and their innards to churn with sickening disgust. One of the room's crumbling walls was marred by a gruesome black stain that bore the faintest hints of red. The substance was sprayed out over the walls, as if it had erupted outwards in one great burst, like some kind of horrific zit that had sprouted from the stone itself.
You know what that reminds me of? Fucking those balloons from It, the original one, where the balloons are coming down and just spraying the wall and everybody. Oh. Pinkie, no! That's overkill. You can't do that to me. No. Tempest, tell him to stop it. For real.
Almost every piece of furniture close to it had been covered in a fresh coat of writhing black slime. Yet, that was far from the worst part. Splayed out in the epicenter of the horrid expulsion was the mangled form of what appeared to have once been a pony, now reduced to naught but a ragged black rag of tattered meat clinging to the frail bone as it was pinned to the wall by the thick slime. Anything that may have identified what it once was gone. Fur, skin, even blood and innards have been corroded into nothing but inky blackness. Every pony gasped. Fluttershy fell to the ground, unable to even weep as she desperately tried to look away. This time, there was no rarity to comfort her. Instead, the white unicorn was overcome by disgust and vomited into a corner. She didn't look like the only one who was struggling to keep down their last meal. Starlight had to swallow a bile churning in her gut and straighten as she trembled violently. Twilight covered Spike's eyes with a wing as her own eyes bravely studied the gory black mass. Rainbow Dash was forced to the ground beside Applejack as both the acclaimed iron ponies were hapless to comprehend the gruesome sight before them. Twilight? Applejack finally asked, her voice only a few levels above a whimper. Please tell me you don't think that's... The Alicorn looked back solemnly. No! Celestia, damn it! That's not her! Rainbow lurched forward, only to be pulled back before any of the slime could touch her. Let go of me, AJ! She snapped as she turned to face the farm pony holding her tail. No, Rainbow. Now you listen here. This ain't no kind of game. This... Applejack's words fell silent as she looked at the tears missing in her friend's trembling magenta eyes. This is what, AJ? Rainbow demanded dangerously. Before any pony could respond, however, there was another shift in the room. A light, animalistic clicking sounded to the left of the gory fountain. Every pony froze before Twilight slowly crept towards it, horn lowered to attack. Then she jumped as the stained furniture shifted with a loud bump. Within seconds, Twilight turned the far right corner of the room into a lavender bonfire with her magic. For a long moment, there was nothing other than the flickering of the flames. Then there was another inequine call and a slithering movement under the furniture. The blackened tables and chairs shuddered loudly as whatever was beneath them dashed for the door. Fear summoned another set of magical assaults from the unicorn, but once again, all they did was mar the wall with scorch marks. Whoa, Twilight, Applejack finally said, placing a hoof on her panting friend's shoulder. The flustered princess looked back at her friends with shimmering tears in her quivering eyes.
I'm surprised nobody
before she could say anything, Rainbow Dash flew over to the edge of the room and called out. Hey, look at this! She pointed to the carpet with a hoof. There's a long trail of sleek black slime snaked its way out from the splattered mass and off through the floor. Its worm-like movements were far from that of any equine. Come on, we gotta get the hay out of here and figure out what to do, Applejack muttered as her eyes nervously followed the slimy trail.
That plan.
You have to be kidding, AJ. We can't just go. What about, I can see that, Rainbow. What do you want me to do?
Yeah,
The farm pony snapped, gesturing to herself firmly
today,
before the
fight
Pegasus
tomorrow.
could finish.
The mummy.
Rainbow's dangerous glare returned as she looked between her friends and the sickening mark on the wall. There was a mix of emotions, more turbulent than the thunderstorm raging outside behind her eyes. Look, you're both right. We can't stay here, and we can't just let whatever this is stay here either, Twilight suddenly declared. Why not? There's plenty of dangerous stuff out here, Starlight offered, fear demanding she do everything she could to get out of the situation as quickly as possible. Twilight just shook her head. No, whatever this thing is, it's not from the Everfree Forest. We have no idea what it could do if we just leave it here. This, she reluctantly pointed a hoof to the blackened wall, and her words faltered. This stuff could completely overrun Ponyville, maybe even all of Equestria for all we know. She finished weakly. So what y'all saying is we have to... Applejack began, but Rainbow was swift to finish her words for her. Destroy it. Sounds good to me. At that, the brash Pegasus made for the door, tears breaking her fearsome, determined look as she tried her best to maintain the brave facade. Applejack looked at Twilight, sadness in her own eyes as she reluctantly nodded. Come on, you two. Stay close, she told the otherwise silent Fluttershy and Rarity as she followed Rainbow Dash. Neither of the pair seemed to be willing to argue as they slowly followed. The best Twilight could do was offer Fluttershy a sympathetic glance, even if her expression was marred by tears. Go with them, Spike. I'll be out in a second, Twilight asked, and without a word, the baby dragon leapt from her back and moved to the door. Starlight's eyes followed him as he went. Then she looked at Twilight. Twilight? She finally asked as she put a hoof on her mentor's trembling shoulder. Twilight, I'm sorry. Twilight didn't respond for a long moment. We can't let this stuff get out. Pinkie wouldn't want this to happen to any pony else. She began, her horn sparkling to life as her words trailed off. It wasn't hard for Starlight to see what Twilight had in mind, and without a word, she nodded, her own horn beginning to spark with vibrant blue fire. The best either could do was close their eyes as the fire burst from their horns and the mass of black slime was burned to nothing but ashes, along with the little it had left of their beloved friend. Every pony, watch your step. Rainbow, Fluttershy, first sign of anything dangerous, you two get up high and out of harm's way. Every pony else, behind me or Starlight, so we can put up a shield spell, Twilight instructed firmly as every pony cautiously made their way through another dark corridor. No offense, Twilight, but I'm not just running away, Rainbow responded firmly, flying just a few inches ahead.
Rainbow! We're not running, we're just defending ourselves. You don't know Rainbow. She's suffering too much shock and stress. Rainbow, we're losing Rainbow. Don't tell me Rainbow's next. I think Rainbow's gonna be next. I think she's gonna be next.
Every pony else. For all the leading experience she had, Twilight knew how futile it was to tell the Pegasus otherwise after what they'd found. She was having great difficulty keeping her own emotions in check, never mind that of the rest of her friends. Nevertheless, there was no way she'd let anything like that happen to any pony else. And right now, that demanded far more of her attention than the memory of Pinkie's gruesome fate. All she knew for sure was that she had to find whatever had taken their friend and stop it before it could escape and attack any pony else. I don't think she's telling you to run away, Rainbow. Please, just listen, Applejack asked, her eyes fixed upon Rainbow. The cyan Pegasus spun in the air to face Applejack, hovering close to the farm pony's face as she did so. Just listen? Something did that to Pinkie. AJ, how many other times has anything like this ever happened? She shouted in frustration. Do you think I don't know that? I just saw as plain as y'all did what happened. And I ain't saying I'm any less eager to find what the hay did this and put a stop to it before it happens to any pony else. Applejack responded, eyes narrowing as she pressed her muzzle to Rainbow's in a snarl.
At least they're
Just be
communicating.
quiet, both of you. We need to stick together.
Chill.
There's no point in fighting. Twilight stepped in, but with fears and frustrations flared, her words were met with resistance. For Celestia's sake, you're all acting like fools! Rarity snapped as she too entered the verbal scuffle. Will you all just stop your ridiculous squabbling and please listen to Twilight? Spike just put his claws over his ears and pressed his face into Twilight's mane. Meanwhile, Starlight and Fluttershy just watched the argument with growing concern. The latter had only just managed to break free of the wave of guilt that had washed over her. That wasn't to say that the remorse wasn't still eating away at her every thought, but for now, she knew she had to be strong. She'd caused this. The blind kindness she'd shown that horrific thing had resulted in the horrid death of her friend. And now, she had to help to fix it. Hey, Fluttershy, you alright?
Real quick, I'm going to pause it right there. I'm going to see if this actually published. I hope it does, because I don't like it when my phone does not work and does dumb shit. But anyway, that was part 10 of chapter 3. We're still a little bit on chapter 3. We kind of right next to chapter 4, so hopefully we'll get far into it. I hope this publishes. But again, thank you guys so much for the 203 subscriptions. It makes me really happy. And a lot of you also seem to like this. This is just one of those little staffs I got from Spirited Halloween or whatever. But it's pretty interesting. I like it. And they had different colors and stuff. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video of part 11 of chapter 3. Or at least the finishing of it. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and thank you Forrest McGilvray for, giving me a heads up and letting me know, just thank you. It means a lot. It really does. And as for the rest, for Tempest Berry Twist, Vinyl is Best Pony, Darkfire Poland 3, Forsaken Paladin 616, and Princess Moonbutt. Thank you y'all so much for the subscription, and I'll see you guys next time.